So for those of you who are here, you're invited to go to that website, and it's literally a 1-minute questionnaire. We are funded by a team that very intelligently is asking for getting a sense of how things work. So if you don't mind, please answer candidly. We won't use this for publications or anything like that. We won't know who you are. We just need to get a taste of how things are now that we begin, and then we get you to answer similar questions, but after an experience, to see whether anything. So think about the present moment, not like in life this year, but now. And those are your questions. And in a minute, we'll invite Martin to say hello. Does it look like it's working? Yes, perfect. Where's the... Oh. Welcome aboard. We're inviting folks to answer this survey that's on the screen if you want to bring out your device, and we will invite you to start at 34 minutes past the hour, which is in a minute. Yeah.
Is the session going to be interactive, just to know?
Absolutely, yes.
The chat, so the chat as well should.
Yeah, yes, yes. Thank you. Yeah, in your hands.
All right, let's make a start. Hello, everyone, and greetings to those joining us online. My role here today is mainly to introduce the man who will be leading this session, and that means a introduction. But I'm going to take the opportunity to introduce myself as well and do a little bit of scene setting for some of the things that you're going to see and take part in today. I'm Martin Smith. I'm head of Policy Lab at Wellcome Trust. Wellcome, for those of you who don't know, is a major funder of research, global funder of research. Our headquarters is just up the road on Euston Road.
I just want him to have a microphone.
Our mission is to use science to solve global health challenges. And we do that primarily by investing in discovery research, so research in any area that could have an impact one day on human health. And thank you. And to and our other health challenges are infectious diseases, climate change, and mental health. So together, those four give us this interest in the world and human health. My bit of this organisation, Policy Lab, comes with this metaphor of a lab, and we use this to mean experimentation, really. And I'm super keen on this because Wellcome is quite an unusual organisation. It has no funders, no members, no donors, no shareholders, and it gives us a tremendous opportunity to do things in different ways. There's no one that we need to keep happy or to follow procedures in a particular way in order to satisfy them. And I want Wellcome to really lean into that opportunity and to explore creative ways of doing policy work. And I mean that both in the process of working with people, bringing people together, exploring solutions, and in the products themselves that we see. I've spent many years in my career doing things in the standard way. You have a workshop, you have a round table, you produce a 100-page PDF with lots of footnotes and charts and tables. And I'm very familiar with the power of that. I've no interest in saying that that's the wrong thing to do. But Wellcome doesn't have to do things in those ways. And so it can explore a much wider space of creative options. So in wanting to take Wellcome down that path, given that we're a very early stage of this journey, the first thing we decided to do was to make some funding available to commission others who are already doing really interesting work in this space to take their work a couple of steps forward, to really push the boundaries of experimentation. And we did an open call for proposals. We had over 100 submissions, and one of that submissions was from Pablo and his team at the Red Cross Red Crescent Centre. And I'm delighted to say that he's one of the 4 projects that we decided to commission. So it's a very eclectic set of 4. You can find out more about it on our website. It ranges from things like mosaic making to a tomorrow party for envisaging the future, and the use of humour and circus arts in talking about climate work. So fascinating. Open your minds to different ways of doing things today. Throw yourselves into it. My very much pleasure to introduce Pablo, and looking forward to the fun things that he's going to do with you in this session. Thank you.
And of course, thank you, Martin and Tom and Chloe and the Wellcome Policy Lab for the courage of supporting a rather unconventional proposal that was chosen for reasons beyond my understanding, but we are intending to try something new. And one thing that is important for you to know, whether you're joining us online or in person, is that the thematic drive of our proposed innovation in how we enable new innovative policy dialogues is the issue, broadly speaking, of mental health and climate change. So this is going to be a sometimes intimate, sometimes potentially troublesome exploration of what's going on. But precisely because of that, we need to add something that is oomph-y, something that is uplifting. So if you haven't done this already, please make sure to answer in a snapshot in the current moment, how are you feeling with regards to those items that are listed there. And the session is called Gravity Play. Of course, a very deliberate play on the word gravity, which not only implies the force that pulls objects down, including us humans, but also the gravity, the somberness, the difficulty of the moment in which we live. How can we play with that? On the mental health front, we've had remarkable progress in our understanding and our ability to sense what goes on inside the brain, inside the mind. I'm working with neuroscientists from the Child Mind Institute from MIT, and we know a lot about what goes on in the mind. We also know a lot from IPCC and many others, including many present in this conference, on warnings about how the climate is changing and how that poses phenomenal risks. When the two come together, one of the things that we know is that, unfortunately, if you are informed and you are sensitive to human suffering, your only option is to recognize that this means that a lot of the parts of the brain that flare up when you're in horror, when you're in terror, when you're concerned, when you're depressed, are going to flare up. This is a tweet, or whatever the things are called now, from a French meteorologist looking at a temperature anomaly map of France. This was several years ago, one of the earlier heat waves, and he saw the Scream, the famous painting, which, in case you didn't know, it was painted at a time of an atmospheric anomaly. That's why the skies were red. We notice screaming because we feel like screaming sometimes. We are going to experience in this session some of our innovations, learning from humor, including 2 professional humorists here. Thank you, Havan Eugenia, as always, as well as circus arts, in particular acrobatics. Now, we were going to be joined by my dear colleague, Tilly Alcaina. She's Red Cross Red Crescent Climate Center. She's a health specialist. She also completed 1-month training as a partner acrobatics instructor. What are the chances of me finding such human? Well, there are reasons why you proposed this. Unfortunately, she got COVID. So you're going to have to live with me, a beginner instructor. Indeed, I assure you that I'm going to do everything in my power to make it very safe. And I'm going to remind you that as an instructor, I'm a beginner. So you will have to take some personal responsibility in being extra safe. And if you don't feel like it, you do nothing. It's fine, but it's going to be fun. And in our experience, it's very safe and enjoyable. I've learned that when there's a lot of people that we don't know, it's appropriate to offer a disclaimer. if any of you have experienced any kind of mental health trauma, etc., some of our conversations, for example, about suicide could be triggering. So make sure that you always feel safe. We have designed this very caringly and very lovingly. It's not like I'm going to show you gruesome photos of stuff. It's very safe, but it's important for you to know, should you not feel right, there are things you can do. They are on the screen. Similarly, some of the activities we will offer will involve objects that go up, and after they go up, they may come down. They're designed to not hurt you. Maybe they hit your eyeball and it hurts a little bit, but I doubt it. And also for those willing and able, there's going to be a little bit of physical contact. And if you feel so inclined, you do so. Otherwise, you stay sitting and you let the rest of us enjoy the activities. Now, a lot of talking and you haven't been doing much. Question. Don't answer yet. What do you think of when you think of humor? Think of one word. Lara, this is for you. I want you to find some partners, group of 3 or 4. Can I throw you this? Whoops, sorry, it went to you. I meant it for her. This one's for you. Let's see if I have more. People on the back, Francesca, be careful. Oh, almost, who's missing? Let's throw one to you. There you go. Stand up, self-organize with someone with a ball. Okay? And if possible, try to make it equal. Don't have Lara be alone and other balls with 5 people. Nico is going to be supporting this, as are those other 2 folks. So it could be anywhere between 2 and 5 people per group. So I advise you stand up. And friends who are online, your adapted version of these activities that you're going to write in the chat. I currently cannot see the chat, but I'm sure you can. So here's the task. Lara has the ball. She has to say one word that she thinks of, don't do it yet, when she thinks of humor. She can say any word except the word humor. In saying it, she says the word and passes it to her partner. The partner catches it. The ball has to not fall. If it falls, everyone on the team says, "Oh no!" And then you just pick it up and keep going. There's no problem. They don't break. Okay? And what does the person do? Catches the ball from the air or from the ground and then says another different word she thinks of when thinking of humor and passes the ball to the next one. And you go back and forth about 30 seconds, but you will notice that you have to keep saying words. And if you're like, take the time you need, but not much more, and say a word and pass it. What do you think of when thinking of humor? One word. If really needed, you can say 2 words that are a concept. If it were animals, you could say lion or cow or black panther, which is 2 words that make one concept. Don't give like the abstract of your latest paper on early warnings. Self-organize, 30 seconds or so, ready, set, go. Friends, you're welcome to join. You don't need to be extreme.
Children?
10 seconds left.
Smiling.
Are you getting words on time? And 3, 2, 1, stop and silence. Let's hear first from our participants from the distance what words have emerged.
We had laughing, mash 477, funny, peace, and laughter.
Excellent. What else emerged from here? Tell me something.
Yeah, laughter.
Laughter,
smiling.
one word. Funny, what else? Black humor. Interesting, a particular form of humor. What else?
Comedy.
Comedy. Good, thank you. You can sit down if you want. These are the words that we often get when we ask people, what are you thinking of when thinking of humor? There's usually either the manifestations of humor, such as laughter or smile. There's also the mechanisms that create humor, such as comedy, joke. A joke is a statement intended to provoke laughter. I stay away from jokes because if you're trying to provoke, chances are that you go too far and you offend, or you don't go far enough and you fall flat. For that reason, you're going to notice that, maybe a joke happens, but it's not what this is about. It's not what the proposal is about. And there's other things that like happiness, it's like a byproduct of humor. Silly, it's probably an attribute of the things that some people associate with humor. There's one over there, smart. It's not the typical thing that, yeah, there's a certain element of wit. Do you see any overlap between this and early warnings? The thing that brings us together? There isn't that much, right? Those of you who have been to my sessions before may have seen this before. Did anyone think of the word death? Turns out that I work with a professional humorist who is a superstar in the firmament of cartoonists. His name is Bob Mankoff. He used to be editor for cartoons at the New Yorker magazine, which is like the mecca for cartoons. When I asked him, what do you think of when thinking of humor? He looked at me in the eye and said, death. And I thought he was kidding, but he was not. It turns out that humorists are very good at noticing what's wrong, what's unacceptable yet accepted. For example, have you heard of death by PowerPoint? Do you recognize this? This is exactly how we tend to design every freaking conference. Yada, yada, yada. Now we have to do something now. But the thing that preceded seemed to be intentionally designed to put people to sleep. I used to be a full-time researcher on climate disasters and financing. I was a system dynamics modeler using the language of mathematics to understand, anticipate, and address change. I would talk science, I would successfully put people to sleep, and then expect them to come up with an early warning system or adaptation to sea level rise. Nothing would happen, because if we don't inspire, if we don't motivate, of course nothing will happen. For example, Zambezi River floodplain. Pablo spends a day talking science. What do you think happened after I left? Nothing. Next flood came, some people died. One of 17 consecutive UN climate conferences that I attended. COPs, for those in the know. 2 weeks, Monday through the weekend, past the Friday, usually. Is this working? Yes. Would you like to be in that place? Would you like to spend 2 weeks in that place? Do you think that these people in this place will come up with awesome solutions to the climate problem, including how to integrate early warning systems? Now, interestingly, this was a photo from the UNFCCC Secretariat promoting the event. Okay, it's so embedded in the nature of what we do that it's expected to be boring that no one notices that this is not the thing that we should be doing. Notice the white shirt fellow left of center? Yeah, that's how it feels. Now, we know that to go beyond what we're doing, especially in policy spaces where there's a lot of trade-offs, a lot of negotiations, a lot of advocacy, we need to create breakthroughs. It's not enough to incrementally PowerPoint to death people until something happens with a new early warning system approach. So if we want breakthroughs, what are we going to do? We have to unleash, we have to let it out. What is the it? I don't know, ideas, for example. And are we doing the right thing to let ideas emerge and find and deliver illumination? So in our proposal to the Wellcome Policy Lab, we said in about 10 pages, something along those lines. Our goal of this project that you're beginning to experience is to chart, to explore, to map out some new methods for enriching the processes of policy development, of which this conference is one. We are influencing UN types, World Bank, national governments, donors, academics, and so on. But we want to do so harnessing the power of darkness. When things don't work and people suffer or die or feel bad, can we harness that power, that awareness, sparking candor? Honesty is hard to find in these events. Courage, creativity, and source of light. Now, a mini background. The focus of our work is mental health and climate change. There are two kinds of things that we propose to do in terms of approach and in terms of methods. First, whenever there's something going on already, bridging climate change and mental health, we want to support it, to nurture it. When possible, bring climate to mental health issues, because there's conference about mental health, and there isn't that much being said about climate, and bringing mental health issues to climate folks. And this applies more broadly to early warning systems. Volcanologists like Karina Fernley the co-convener of this event, she said, let's make it happen on mental health, because if you're a volcanologist supporting early warning systems for volcanic eruptions, and we have one over here with Lara, sometimes you don't feel right because things are known but nothing or not enough is done about it. And in terms of methods, guess what? They're paying us to find ways to work with humorists and with professional acrobats. Some stuff we had done before. This is a different workshop, also in the Zambezi River, where instead of me talking to death, we designed a game about flood preparedness, and we rolled some dice, and when certain thing happens, the community had to go and do certain things. Look at those muscles. Body engaged. And look at those smiles. Having a blast. And neuroscience shows that when you're engaged and connected and emotionally part of what's going on, you build memories that last longer and that are easier to retrieve in times of need. We know that fun engenders bonding and trust. And if we want early warning systems to be trusted, sure, we have to be serious with the science, but can we add a bit of what works? Opposite end of the spectrum, I was one of 130 people in the White House, and I was the second speaker after lunch, guaranteed to have a brain-dead audience. So instead of another PowerPoint to death, I said, hello, my name is Pablo from the Red Cross. This is not a Frisbee, it's a hurricane. Everyone please stand up. And that woke up the audience. And then we played the game, and people were very confused in the beginning, and then they understand something about hurricane preparedness, and people had a good time. Look at the person in the panel. How often do you see that in policy development? And guess what? Evidence shows from marketing, from psychology, from neuroscience, from sociology, from anthropology, from archaeology even, that when people have a good time, it's more likely that collective stuff will emerge. Importantly for us in the space of early warnings, if something is strange, by having fun with it, it can become familiar. Those of you who were part of the earlier session in the morning about juggling with compound risk, you were having a good time and you were talking about strange stuff, but it became familiar. I throw the ball to you, you throw it to me, we talk about market exchange, how are markets disrupted when there's a shock. And similarly, what is familiar but unacceptable, like people die because of a completely foreseeable event, we can do something about it. So these are the words that most people think of when thinking of humor and fun. But if you ask a professional humorist, these are the things that they think of, in addition to the other ones. They look for conflict. Where's the mismatch between what is and what should be? Where's the difference between this person and that person? That just pointing that is funny, especially if it's taboo. Where's the ambiguity? The same thing means different things to different people. Think of color coding in all those hazard maps. The same green pixel means two different things to two different humans. Questioning, danger and risk. Banana peel on the floor, Pablo walks. That already is a recipe for fun. Context, things out of context. This is exactly the nature of our work. So our first activity will be about noticing gravity. Everyone please stand up, bring the objects you have in your hands or not, and come to the front where there is more space. And those of you who just arrived, live with it. It's going to be very fine, very gentle, very serious. So here's what we're going to do. Occupy the entire space. Thank you. So some of you have some object which is very safe. Some of you do not. Yes? So everyone come on. It's going to feel crowded. It's okay. Just avoid hurting if you bump into each other. If I accidentally bump into her, see, she's smart. She's avoiding me. But if I had accidentally bumped into her gently, it wouldn't be too bad, I hope. So we are going to be moving along the space, avoiding collisions. You can look down or you can look up. Everyone will, not just me. And if you happen to have a ball or any of these objects, eventually you have to find someone, ideally look at that person in the eye and say a word that you associate with what's wrong with our suffering, with our stress, with mental health. There must be something in the climate and mental health thing that makes you feel something. I could say depression. Yeah. And then you have to do nothing other than listen. And then now you have the ball. You keep walking until you figure out what word you're going to say that you associate with gravity, with what's wrong, with what's keeping us busy. And then you bump into someone and you say some other word. What is it that is wrong with our relationship with what's wrong about climate and mental health. So everyone walk in silence, unless you have a ball, you pass it. Try to make that statement somewhat loud so that not just the person in front of you hears it. And now you keep walking, but now you have the power to speak. Keep walking and keep speaking. What else? And now I'm going to give a ball to everyone. If you don't have a ball, I'm giving you a ball, because here's what's going to happen. Does anyone not have a ball yet? I'll give you one. So now it's going to get a little bit more challenging. You're going to walk, keep walking until you bump into someone, and now you both have to say a word at the same time while you exchange the balls. It can be something you said before or something new. For example, trouble.
Angry.
What was your word?
Angry.
Angry. Now, I should have heard her word. Okay, so we may want to get closer to each other and to pass it more gently or something. I don't know. Keep doing it. Walk around, bump into someone, say something. Exchange balls, keep doing it.
What's your name? Darkness. Coordination.
And 3, 2, 1, stop and silence. You can leave the balls on the floor, go back to your device. It could be that it's in your pocket or not. Preferably, if you have your phone in your pocket, sit in the front, otherwise go back where you were. And we're going to invite you to go to this website. You can use the QR code, or you can type, for those of you who are joining from the distance, and I'm sorry that you were not actively, oh my goodness, I forgot to say, friends from the distance. Whenever I ask people to do something that involves physical exchange, you're going to have to do it with imaginary physical exchange. So if you were exchanging words about what's wrong, you would type in the chat what's wrong. But now you go to this website, oops, I almost fell, good. That's part of the fun, right? And you're going to, if all goes well, find a blue screen that says all caps rant. Is it working? Yeah. Good. So the invitation is going to be very simple. When I push a button, there will be a text box where you're invited to type. If you have a laptop, it's better because you can use all your fingers. Otherwise, type as fast as you can. You're going to express something that's wrong, but not one word as we did. You have to rant in a fully formed sentence. So for example, I could say boring conferences. Or I could say, why are conferences so freaking boring? Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Which one is more ranty? Yeah. And whatever you write is going to appear in all caps. So I want you to rant as much as possible. What your rant will be anonymously seen by others, and you will see what others are writing, and maybe that inspires even more ranting. You have strictly 90 seconds, everyone online and in person. You have to be as prolific as possible. So let me make sure that all works. So this is what it looks like, right? And then I am going to push this button, start ranting, and in principle it should be working. Yes? Go, rant. What is wrong? Yes, science is ignored. Imagine punk rock music. What else? Yes, we don't talk about it. What is the issue with mental health that we should be talking more about? Nobody understands. What else? 60 seconds to go. Everything in isolation, yes. So much judgment, so much as failing. Same thing, no action. What else? Why are we ignoring stuff? What else? Halfway through. Keep it coming. What exactly is it that is so wrong? Why is people not listening? What else? What can you think about? Mental health issues, your own well-being, the well-being of others. What the hell is going on? Where are all these other people? What else? 20 seconds to go. Stigma, so much stigma with mental health issues. Yes. Isolation, what else? 15 seconds to go. Try to stay away from single words. Try to rant like in an expressive way. You have 10 seconds to go. Channel your fury, channel your anger, channel your confusion, channel the darkness that you've been experiencing. 3 seconds to go. Oh my God, why can't I be angry? I love it. Okay, so here's what we're going to do now. When I push a button, each one of you is going to see a selection of, let me push here, there. A selection of about 8 rants, most likely written by someone else. So I'm going to click on one that resonates with me. For example, why doesn't anyone listen? You see that it appeared here. It's now editable text. Your task is to respond to that. You can respond however you want, but my invitation is to say, it's like everyone has earplugs, I could say. Or it's like whatever you want. Establish an analogy, a comparison, a metaphor. Or you could say, it's unacceptable, like wasting money and time in meetings, or whatever you want. So click on the one that resonates with you. It appears there. You can select it all, or you can just delete any part, and then you say, it's like, da-da-da, etc. And let's give you about 3 minutes. Do this as many times as possible. Try to be as visual as possible. Try to imagine human bodies in your it's like. Try to think of hands and heads and legs and humans together, moving or not. All right, the comments are beginning to come. Very nice, thank you. Feel free to delete what was there and add it's like, or it's da-da-da, like da-da-da. And people online, you're now peers. You're just as important as people on the room. We try to create fair systems here. Let's give you 30 seconds or less. And by the way, you can scroll all the way down and you see the more please button. If anything you see is not of your liking, maybe there's more of your liking. Peter. What else? I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to wrap it up. All right, we have more than 20 contributions. Well done. Now I'm going to advance 3, 2, 1, stop. And I'm going to advance all the way to this screen, where if you want, you can scroll down with all the responses submitted so far. Now here's what we're going to do. Groups of about 3, can be 2, can be 4. You're going to silently create a performative enactment of one of these things. So for example, it's like all the empathy was left on the bus. You could do the bus driver, you could do the bus passenger, and you could be empathy. I don't know what that looks like. She goes down, you stay. I don't know how you do it. You can speak if you want, but you have to use your body. Is that clear? You need to move. Self-organized groups of 2 to 4, act it like a skit. It can be literally 10 seconds. Everyone stand up, form a group. There we go. Folks online, scroll through and type in the chat basically what the enactment would look like. Type imaginary, like advertisement performances. Go for it. You have 3, 4 minutes to choose one and act it out. Rather than holding the use, it's funny hearing You have just over a minute. People on Zoom, write in the chat, what ideas do you have for enactment of any of those things? Imagine the buddies at work. All right, and 3, 2, 1, stop and silence, please. Here's what we're going to do. There's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups, correct? So you two go over there. You're going to either perform for them or watch their performance. When it's done, you switch. Looks like they're ready to perform. Go enjoy. Over there, one of the groups perform from the others, and here's the task. The performing group doesn't say, this is about that. You just do the performance, and the other people have to try to guess what the hell you're doing. Okay? Ready? Set. And if you're not ready, do what you can. Go. People online, it will be only about 3 minutes. Feel free to play with what others have written and comment on what you notice. Comment on what was going on.
Okay.
Good, congratulations. Other group.
About shouting, falling on that air. No one's listening.
Just guess wildly, yes.
Don't hear, don't speak.
And 3, 2, 1, stop and silence. So I'm not going to ask you to perform for everyone else. I just want to pass the microphone over. Whoops. There seems to be a magical. Okay, Clara, come over here. Tell me something you noticed about the performance either of your group or the other group. Something.
Everyone was enjoying themselves. We all clearly deserve A levels in drama. And even though it was really quick, Quinn's not working. Even though it was really quick, we were able to come out with the idea quite simply, quite straightforward, that we could all understand.
Nice. That's exactly what can help policy development. Quickly come up with an idea that others can quickly understand. Yeah, I'm going to save you from the inside because I'm going to tap on you later. You can go back to your seats. And friends online, I don't know whether you shared anything that should be shared. Should I pass you the microphone? Did anything emerge over there? Okay, good. So I'm going to go back to this where, I forgot that I have to do one important thing. Now, where are we? Here. I want to go back to here. Do it again. Go back to go back to this stuff that you had. And remember, you can scroll down and touch more, please. And now come up with even more ideas on how to visualize. Why can't I be angry? Okay, I click on it and I say, it's like, and what would I say? Now that you've acted out, now that you've used your bodies, channel that, put your body in it, describe a why can't I be angry? It's like, but use words, okay? So let's give you about 3 minutes to contribute a few more of these reactions to the rants. Imagine that they're going to be acted out. What ideas can you offer? Friends online, we look forward to your contributions as well. All right, they keep coming. We already have more than 30. Let's give you just under a minute to write 1 or 2 more. Be as crazy as you can. It's okay to be absurd. It's okay to not make any sense. Just let your mind fly. Great, we have about 45. Let's see if we can reach 50. About half a minute left. What else? Ten seconds or less. Very nice. 5 seconds or so. 4. Be wacky. 3, 2, 1. And please press enter because I'm about to move on to the next one. Excellent. We just got exactly, it's more coming, 63. Awesome. So now each one of you is offered a randomly selected thing. If you're like, I don't resonate particularly, you can skip it. If what you see is like, wow, this is interesting, I want others to see it, you vote it up. If you really don't get it or you don't think it's worthy of others to see, you vote it down. The goal is to bubble up the things that you want others to see. One at a time, savor them, enjoy them, and then vote up or down. Do you know? Oh, I understand. Friends online, same for you. Help us bubble up the most relevant ones. Some patterns are emerging. And there's more than 50. So you won't be able to see it all. Let's give you about a minute. And about 30 seconds. Ten seconds or so. And click send or up or down because we're moving on all the way to the end. I usually would have a chance to delete anything that is offensive, etc., but we assume that you're all kind. The most upvoted, why is there so much stigma? It's like mental health issues are seen as a weakness and stigmatized, which should be dealt with silence, in silence. I hate the fact that anxiety and stress is seen as a failing. It's like everyone is afraid of showing weaknesses. Social pressure makes us feel so alone, sad, like everybody knows the feeling, but nobody wants to say. like we're fine with the state of things. Everyone has a gavel. Why is it judged so much? These are all with 5 votes or more. It's like we left our ears at home. And the rest have 4. And you can scroll down and you can go at your own pace. Well, I'm happy to report that our resident cartoonist, Eugenia Rojo and Hamid Khan, also known as Ham, are now in the process of trying to come up with cartoon ideas inspired by what you in this room and you online have come up with. While they work, we're going to move on. And I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. Here it is. So we have already ranted. And I don't know what it was like for you, but it appeared to me that when you had those in the room, that moment of standing up and acting, and there were people on the floor and people doing rainy things and so on, your body started moving, started working, and it aided your thinking process. Your brains were different. Your faces were different when you started typing the second round of ranting. You had more. It's like, you heard me say this before if we're in the earlier room, in the earlier session. Neuroscientists have found brain cells in the gut. They amount to 2/3 of the brain of a cat. That's a lot of brain power. And we're treating our bodies as if they weren't contributors to thinking. But neuroscience shows that just by pumping more oxygen, when you're moving, you think better. So we are, with the help of the Wellcome Policy Lab, trying to infuse this issue of fun for addressing risks, whether it's just mental health or just climate and foreseeable hazards, or the blend of the two. We start not by the usual giving answers, PowerPoint, here's the answer, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. We start with a moment of confusion. What, a frisbee? What, cartoons? What, a ball, throwing it up? That state of confusion enables the strange to emerge. For those of us who attended the cardboard theater workshop that Ham and Eugenia facilitated, they said, we are all absurd. We just suppress it. But when you recognize the absurdity of our lives, the only option is to have somewhat absurd attributes or ideas or choices. And when the absurd emerges, it allows the laughter to emerge, or the smile, or the decompression. And once that happens, the ha-ha contains the aha, I get it, I recognize it. There's something there that is like what I'm feeling, like what my team is going. I see a lot of nodding and recognition, yeah? So I'm going to share with you, this is going to be a little harder. Oh, friends online, do you have a zoom in your camera over there? So I'm going to invite you to zoom as much as you can when I start showing what I'm about to show. I'm going to share with you something that we've been doing with professional humorist Ham and Eugenia very shortly. Now, this is, you went, oh, it's sweet, right? It recognizes something that we accept as embraceable. But it's a premise. Have you heard of youth experiencing climate grief? Have you heard of youth considering ending their own lives because of a changing climate? This is not a true statement for all young people all the time. So with the help of folks, especially Jocelyn Meza at the Child Mind Institute, I've been learning about stuff. This is, of course, very valuable information. Can you make sense of this thing? This is how we normally present stuff. This is data from the US Center for Disease Control for different age groups, under 1, 1 to 4, 5 to 9, all the way to 65 and older. What are the top 10 causes of death? So for age under 1, congenital anomalies is the rank number 1. For 10 to 14, it's an intentional injury. Suicide is the second cause. Okay? And it's also the second cause for people 25 to 34, and then it boils down. Now, this data exists for every year since 1980. So I'm going to share with you first the premise that we should be able to improve how we share, because this is not an inviting graph. when my dear colleague Jocelyn showed this, it derailed the wonderful vibe that she had created talking about the problem of youth and suicide, because this is uninviting. This is like noise in the brain. So those of you from far may not be able to see. Actually, may I propose everyone come to the front row? I'm going to share with you a cardboard theater performance. Thank you, Hamaneke, for the inspiration. And you with the camera, I wish you good luck so that folks in the distance can see. Here, my friends, is the performance. Actually, could I ask you to hold the microphone for me? Yeah, any of you. Thank you. So that I can use both hands. Sí. So, in a second. So here you see in my hands, thank you. It's a new book. It's actually pretty much the world premiere of this particular object. Let me set up some things here. There we are. And if you cannot see, there's a dark cloud. There's a child playing with cubes. And the child would like to ask for help, but it's not being communicated successfully. A lot of the time, a lot of our kids and youth are not able to make it clear to us that help is needed. You can stuff it closer to me, so there we go. So, there are mental health care systems, and these systems are intended to help those in need, but they're often too far. They're often not right. And in the context of a changing climate, there's darker shadows in the horizons of terrible, unprecedented extreme events coming, as well as in the minds of youth. There has always been, suffering. At all ages, people have experienced trauma, shocks. But now, youth is experiencing additional feelings of despair, because we adults are treating the climate as something that may belong to them and their future. What we are telling them, we don't give a damn about your future. And this is very consequential. Now, if you look at the data, this, my friends, is actual data. This is, let me do this. That's a disruptive moment, but it's going to be better for my hands. There. Thank you. This is 1980 to the present. What was the place of suicide as a cause of death? Was it in the top 10 for infants under age 1, for ages 1 to 4, I'm going to come on my knees, for ages 5 to 9, etc. You see here that for ages 10 to 14, it was ranked 6th in 1980, and it went up to end up ranking 2nd in the 2000s. Now, very concerningly, I don't know if you can see it from afar, but for ages 5 to 9, suicide now ranks in the top 10. Let me say that again. For ages 5 to 9 in the US, suicide ranks as the 10th cause of death. And we know that this is likely vastly underreported, because when the medical coroner has to issue the death certificate and write the cause, if there's any room for confusion, ambiguity, they tend to write it as accidental injury because it's very stigmatizing. It's very traumatizing for the family. So what can we do to recognize that this mental health for children in a changing climate is a real problem that needs our ideas, that needs us to think about solutions, about working together differently? Now, this work involves that us as adults need to figure out what's going on with children and help them reorganize how they and how we communicate so that help can be channeled and can be effectively delivered. In the back, there's the people who helped make this happen. My dear colleague Joe Spagnuolo did the data processing. My spouse, Jano Mender de Suarez, was a creative advisor. Ham and Eugenia, present here, did the actual pop-up and the cartoons. Jocelyn and I came up with the concept. I hope that you realize that because there was a little bit of loving, humor-infused cartooning, it was easier to deliver the very complex data. So I invite you, find a neighbor, have a conversation, 2 minutes. What's in your mind when thinking of mental health and children and youth, given what you just experienced? Self-organize, people on Zoom, you can organize in the chat your own reflections. Let's give you a couple of minutes. What just happened? What's in your mind? What ideas do you think we could think of?
¿Tienen algo sobre lo que se queda? Sí, 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 artículos las más queridos
Sí, muy bueno.
muy wow. Muy bueno. Y eso no son bien. Entonces te pido lo siguiente, mandame por email fotos. Bueno, te lo doy yo. Sacar es porque es más fácil que lo saco si lo muestro en la cuenta. ¿A persona de piso o uno? Los otros no los voy a usar ahora. Tenerlos, pero no los voy a usar ahora. Estos son para usar en esta sesión. Mil gracias. Okay, friends online and friends in here, we're going to suspend your conversation. I see that you're having interesting conversations. When we did this similar activity with the Wellcome team, 5 days ago, I went straight from the cardboard theater to the next activity, and I was correctly informed that maybe there was a time to process, right, to digest. So I'm going to leave you with those thoughts in your mind. You're welcome to share them later. We're not going to elicit them now. But I'm going to share with you a little bit of what is known already about how mental health and climate change connect. First of all, if there's scarcity, if people don't get food in their harvest, or if people lose their jobs, or if people can't feed their children, those children's brains are going to develop without sufficient proteins and stuff like that. And we're guaranteed to have brains that don't function as well. and that underdevelopment is going to be very consequential for the generations to come. Any feeling of despair, of hopelessness, of grief, there's even a lot of talk about climate anxiety, climate grief. If you're informed, it's a natural response. One of the issues that we're not recognizing is that it would be unnatural to understand the science, like, whatever, right? Disasters tend to cause very particular localized experiences of shock, of distress, of trauma, including, but not limited to, mental health issues, such as depression and anxiety. Droughts have been proven statistical significance to increase rates of suicide from Australian commercial farmers to Indian subsistence farmers. There's much more research needed, but it's understandable. You cannot feed your family, or you lose your reputation because you had to sell your Mercedes-Benz. Some people take it very hard. It's usually not climate alone, of course. There's multiple forces at play, but we know that this is present. Heat waves have in the US a monotonic relationship to gun violence. It gets hotter, there's more shootings. And some of it is just because the weather is nicer and people spend more time outdoors, and then maybe they pull their gun if they have a confrontation. But there's also reason to believe that when you're hotter, you're more prone to be irritable. Albert Camus, L'étranger, I don't know how you say it, The Stranger, felt like killing on a very hot day. Any pre-existing condition may be particularly relevant when some extreme event is happening. Heat wave in Western Canada recently killed a lot of people. People with schizophrenia died at triple the rate of the normal population, 3 times more. So next time there's a heat wave, look for people with mental health conditions like schizophrenia and help them not die, because maybe they're not aware that they just have to drink more water. I don't know the mechanism, but there's a lot to know. There's a lot of gaps that remain to address in what we know, what we do, and how we shape the policy that links knowledge with action. So for the last activity, we're going to give you a taste of acrobatics. Now, as mentioned, there was going to be Tilly walking you through. I'm going to first show you stuff and invite you to experience that. And then if time allows, we'll get a little bit of physical activity in person. Now, notice this. This cartoon will be present with you shortly. I'm enormously fortunate to be working with professional acrobats, including aerial acrobats. And they are incredible experts in trust and trust building. If you're going to fly and someone's going to catch you, you need to know that you can trust them. Good, I should be presenting this now. Coordination. Who does what, when, how? What if it doesn't work? Timing. Interdependence. All these things they really know. This is a conference from the World Bank, Global Conference, Understanding Risk. And there I am talking about the performance that will happen soon. That, my friends, is the trapeze, the flying trapeze for learners, where I had my first trapeze flight. That's not a photo of me. I haven't tried it yet. So I'm going to show you a video. Unfortunately, the audio is not good. I don't understand what's going on with the speakers. They make, but I believe you should be able to understand the words that come out. And this happened in a conference about disasters. Do you see that? So I'm going to stop that. I'm going to go to this. I'm going to full screen. And again, my apologies for the quality of the audio. And for Zoom, do you propose that I put the microphone there? Do you have any advice? Okay, excellent. Because this is from my laptop, not from the other one. You may think that things are normal, but sometimes our systems go just a little bit outside of balance. And when they fall out of balance, big things can go really bad. Are we prepared? Hello, friends. I'm Pablo with the Red Cross Red Crescent Climate Center. And guess what? We are collaborating with professional aerial acrobats to help us understand what needs to be done about anticipatory action. So you're going to see portions of a performance we did at a global conference about understanding risk. A few key messages. We know that if
we work together, we can go higher and see further. How can we work together better so that 1 plus 1 create a oneness?
In a timely manner. Let me see, what the hell is going on? I didn't push anything. Do we have any advice?
Can you imagine? What can you tell your partners about better ways to collaborate? Another thing we constantly do is juggling. We juggle with so many natural hazards, and we juggle with too many things that come our way and are in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. Professional jugglers are experts at anticipating trajectories and, when possible, defining trajectories. Can we be inspired by circus artists so that we can better juggle, anticipating trajectories? Okay, let's just listen to each other. Sometimes we have to elevate our point of view. We have to go higher and suspend our belief in how things have been and begin to imagine new from deep.
Let me pause it and reserve. For some reason, it seems to sometimes like it.
Forward, as the acrobats do, they see from a different perspective. They imagine a space of possibility that creates so much ambition, so much possibility for new ways of balancing. We need to remember that just like acrobats, we know that things may fall. When things don't go well, do we have what it takes to be ready to catch the falling? Another thing we can learn from aerial acrobats is how to build trust. These folks are amazing in how they look in one direction, but they anticipate that behind them there is a team doing the right thing, prepared to work together to create safety for camping. Can we?
Sorry, friends. Very strange.
To enable the trust to emerge so that we can be more ambitious in the things we do together to take anticipatory action. And finally, there's the issue of propelling ourselves and our systems to new heights, to go higher, to go deeper, to go further, to take more of what we can do into what is done. Anticipatory action requires the flying of our brain power, the propelling forward. Look at these aerial acrobats. Look at how far they can go to create a new way of accomplishing awesome. So, given what we have seen,
I'm going to stop it there and come back here. I believe I have, yeah, there it is. First, would you like to do any of those things? Sorry, would you like to do any of those things? Would you like to fly? Yeah. Well, actually, let me give you this moment. I'm going to brag like an Argentinian white male. Here. Go away. Oh, come on. QuickTime, File, Open Recent. Pablo tries trapeze. Full screen.
And there he goes.
Terrifying.
graceful like a sack of potatoes. Survival is what I just said. And here's Haman Eugenia also, among the 25 or so we had NASA scientists, World Bank funders, neuroscientists from MIT, Red Cross volunteers, professional humorists, and 8 professional acrobats helping us learn. This was not funded by Wellcome because otherwise we'd have to go through phenomenal procedures to keep them safe. No one was injured. I assure you, I'm a much better risk manager because of that. Once you experience with your guts someone telling you it's safe, please do as I say, it inspires you to reimagine what you're doing. So going back to this, you may remember the things that the video mentions about how acrobatics can help us think. So I want you to imagine the following in your same groups, friends online, typing in the chat. Imagine there's an event with policymakers. Can be the provincial disaster manager, can be the WMO, a funding mechanism for the next early warning, can be something about mental health. What can we do building on any of these categories to come up with one idea for better integrating mental health issues into early warning systems? This is an event about creating effective warnings for all. I would argue that mental health people with mental health conditions, it's a better way to say it, are not currently properly included. Have a conversation integrating any of these things into one idea. You have 4 minutes to come up with one idea with your small group. People online, good luck. Okay, self-organize.
Someone loved the cartoon with the back in time.
Yes.
To ask where can they find these cartoons? Are they available online? How can they get access to this?
I'll pass you a microphone to convey that thing and anything else that you think should be shared from them, and then I'll answer. Okay? Any interpretation. My friends, in 1 minute, be prepared to say something interesting about mental health, early warnings inspired by this stuff. You have about a minute. Good luck. Friends online, I hope you can send in the chat something interesting about mental health and early warnings, inspired by the acrobatic stuff you saw. If anything interesting emerges, we shall share it with the participants here. Okay, let's see. And 3, 2, 1, stop and silence. May I pass the microphone to any volunteers to share anything? Doesn't have to be fascinatingly interesting. Just a little bit interesting.
So our activity was abseiling. I'll pass it to Helen because she has a really good summary.
So we were basically trying to think about with mental health in the same way with early warnings. It's about talking and actually finding the people that have the information to know. So if you set some type of, whether it's abseiling, so that's what we picked because that was the scariest thing you thought you'd done. Everybody has different roles in that, but you might not know them until you talk to them and go, oh yes, I can tie ropes. Oh yes, I can do this. So that when you then go to abseil, everybody's in the right position that they should be. So if you could relate that then to the fact with the mental health, and especially around climate change, people have anxiety and worry around it because they don't talk and express it. So then you put them with climate science communicators, or you put them with the people putting the early actions in plan, then you can draw the extras together. And if you share that, you might help relieve some of the anxiety.
We didn't really have an activity. We were just talking about how they're all linked together with mental health and with early warning systems. We did have an activity come up though in terms of perspective. So we were talking about people libraries. If you've never heard of them, so you like rent a person for a 5-minute conversation, 10-minute conversation, and that just shares that experience of what they might be feeling or not feeling. And if you've never experienced mental health before, it's actually really hard to think about how that person's feeling or expressing themselves. So just having that conversation and meeting someone new could really help you understand their perspective.
I love that idea of the people library, and there's room for one more if anyone wants. There's something online.
Yes, so trust and perspective were discussed. Also a reminder to send on the chat, not the Q&A, otherwise people can't see. But on the question of perspective, Rita Kepner shared that her community includes a high percentage of aged people. Their response to warnings is, okay, why should I care? I'm going to die soon anyway. So I guess changing this perspective would be useful to have better early warning systems, which include mental health.
Yeah. And when it's about changing perspectives, embodied activities can really help. I really wish that we could do more. Let me show you the magic of my colleague Tilly. This is from a workshop at Cambridge University Center for the Study of Existential Risk. Tilly is impersonating a volcanic eruption. She's kicking her legs. But then she taught how to do basic partner acrobatics to SJ, seen here with colorful hair. Legally blind SJ learned and was enacting in this in 40 minutes how the community had to take flight in confronting the challenges. Look at that face, look at that intense happiness. Yes, and then SJ, I can't explain how, but going from that position to this position and feeling heroically. And this is a person who can shape learning and dialogue. And by the way, SJ is a colleague of Lara over there. Yes, there is Lara. So I know that folks online would like to know how to get these cartoons. If in doubt, go to www.climatecenter, spelled the British way, climatecentre.org, and search for humor and send an email, and someone may send you the file. We're all very busy, but we will try our best. I insist this is really worth doing. We've had workshops with CERN, we have workshops with the World Bank on mental health and climate through humor and acrobatics. We are going to have, this is a performance at the Museum of Science about climate change adaptation with professional acrobats from Brazil, and they said, no, Pablo, you're not going to introduce us, we're going to do acrobatics with you. And she had just climbed on my shoulders, and then the wheel was spinning and flew past me, and they asked me, can I ask the two welcome people to come over? Come, Tom and Martin. They were in a workshop. We won't have the time, one in front of me, one behind me. This is an activity about falling. I don't know if someone is behind me. I trust someone is behind me. Okay. Now I know someone is in front of me. Okay. Oh, yes. I'm heavier than I look. Okay. Now I need one more volunteer on each side. I'm not feeling too safe. Can someone come help him and someone come help him? Okay. But yeah, no, you don't help him that way. You help him by holding my shoulder and he holds his shoulder. Now, please be safe. I'm gonna fall and you can let me go further. Yes, don't hit me. Thank you. And now, yeah, I feel much more safe when I feel the hand. All right. Now I'm gonna step out. Who wants to come? Any volunteers? Any volunteers from People's Fund? Excellent. There we go. We're gonna be come friends, otherwise she's gonna fall. All right. Yeah. There we go. Thank you, Francesca. Excellent. And she's smiling. Yes. So if we had the real acrobat here, Tilly, you would be learning safely. Look at the smile of my funder. I'm a happier person because my funder is happy. Yeah. Yes. And there were all sorts of activities. We're going to have these awesome acrobats do stuff with us. Now, let me go straight to Ham and Eugenia have made some cartoons based on your rants. I'll show them after you earn them by please going here. It should be less than 5 minutes. People online and people in person, go through it. And please, in the last question, type if you're joining online or in person. It's crucial for our ability to understand impact and how it's different. You want to help us make sense of this. When you have completed the survey, people here in the room wave to me so I know that I give 1 more minute and then we move on. So we are very grateful to all of you for allocating a bit of your time to help us learn what we're doing. And again, the first questions are about this present moment, and then a few questions about what you think. Now shut up. Let me know when you're done. Remember to say at the end whether you're in person or online. Thank you for your kindness. We shall learn from what you say. Of course, please be candid. All set? Yeah. It's odd because others, it's working for others. Try the HTTPS colon / Let's give you about 2 more minutes or less. All right, some people have finished. I'll give you about a minute. And this is your reward if you have finished. So for those who haven't finished, please don't leave your computer or your chair without having finished. It's really crucial for us that we learn. Otherwise, we're going to move on because we have very few minutes left. So these are 5 of the 12 cartoons that Ham and Eugenia have created based on your feedback, your input. Here's one. Couldn't care less, listening, silencing. Here's another one just in about the People Library. I don't know if you can see it. It's not finished, but next time you need to borrow a person to learn about mental health, think of that metaphor. There's a few more. It's forbidden to silence other people when talking about mental health. Oops, turn your head. Really nice. Shocking, huh? And what I find it interesting that there's a guilt in the laughter. Did you notice that you laugh or like, oh, maybe I shouldn't laugh, but it's funny, yeah? And that's part of our situations in the brain, how we're going to deal with this. Same here, how are we going to help people channel what is thought, those thought clouds, into actual action. So let me go back to this thing. What has happened today? You have learned a bit about playfulness, about humor, about acrobatics, about how mental health and climate are connected. And if we do nothing, there's going to be more of that. But if we think how acrobatics, humor, and other unconventional ways can help policy formulation, policy development, we should be able to do better, at a minimum by having a good time and recharging. I saw Francesca's face when she was falling, she was smiling. And then she's more likely to coexist with the falling character of our global climate. So thank you all. You've been very kind. Thank you, Wellcome, for your support. Thank you, friends.